What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing a thing that I haven't done since 2017. I guess no one's done it since about that point, but, you know, still. Today we are going to be answering five questions for Kaiju YouTubers. This is a little event that is always started over on the MONSTROSITIES Tokusatsu vlog. I like how I talk about this like it's something that happens a ton. This is the second time it's happened. Back in 2017, Matt Burkett started the 5 questions for Kaiju YouTubers. It was a little tag challenge that spread throughout the community, and I remember it doing very well. I remember getting tagged in posts forever of people who were still going on the chain. So that was really cool. Guess he wants to do it again, and I'm all for that. So he tagged me as he did 3 years ago. And so now it's time to answer 5 more questions. So once again, I just gotta say, go check out the video. It's linked down below. Tag your it 5 more questions for Kaiju YouTubers by MONSTROSITIES. And they tagged me, right? But Matt, you spelled my name wrong. D space man 1954. I think it's been spelled right like 1 time out of all of eternity. So you're good. You're in the vast majority. I don't have the time to edit my own videos anymore, so I'm going to steal Matt's graphic here. Once again, go check out their channel. That's where I got this from. But the 5 questions that were asked that I will be also asking, I'm not going to come up with 5 new questions for this video. I'm going to pass these questions along to 4 more Kaiju YouTubers because I'm strapped for time, guys. School's, you know, life's busy, all right? Plus, these are good questions. I think they're very fitting for the time. Starting out with number 1, which is a question I love. What Kaiju film have you revisited and learned to love? I don't really know how to answer this because it's kind of all of them. All of the ones that I revisit, I learn to love. I would say directly relevant to right now, I have really come around on all the early Showa films. Of course, there were a couple that back in 2016 when I did my initial Godzilla-thon run, I wasn't as enthused with, such as Godzilla Raids Again and Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Ebra Horror of the Deep. Now sitting here in 2020, I've totally come around on both those films. I wouldn't say I love them. I wouldn't say that they're my favorites by any stretch, but I certainly don't hate them like I once did. I think Godzilla Raids Again is a really interesting project. They were trying to do something very unique with that movie. It was trying to be very naturalist in its presentation. I can really commend the movie for that. That was something that I really couldn't appreciate when I was younger. But now that I'm a little older and I can really try and invest in the movie, and especially invest in what the filmmaker was trying to do with the movie, I can see that they were trying to do something interesting there. Whether or not you think they succeeded is up to you. I don't necessarily think they hit the nail right on the head, but I do appreciate what they were trying to do, and for that reason, I've really come around on Godzilla Raids Again. Again, it's not my favorite movie by any stretch, but I do like it quite a bit. It's in my lower half of Godzilla movies, probably down near the bottom, but like I said, I'm coming around on it. And then same with Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. It was a movie that I absolutely hated when I watched it for Godzilla-thon a few years ago. But then in 2018-ish, I watched it with my little brother for our Godzilla marathon. And while watching it with the little kid, I realized this movie is really good for little kids, you know? It's kind of awesome. It's got everything you could want when you're a kid. And for that reason, it kind of opened me up to viewing it in a whole new way, and especially because now that I own the Blu-ray version of the movie, which I didn't back when I did Godzilla-thon, I was watching a terrible VHS transfer, I can really appreciate the visuals in the movie, because it is a pretty movie. It just is really hard to see when you have a terrible VHS transfer of it and it's all pitch black. So there's a lot of aspects on that movie that I'm really coming around on. I'm liking it a lot more than I liked it originally. I'm certainly liking it more than I liked Godzilla Raids Again. I've really come around on that film. That's another one, Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. And also, I think it's really fun to view that movie through the perspective of this was supposed to be a King Kong movie. If you watch it as if it's a King Kong movie, it becomes so much more enjoyable than if it's a Godzilla movie. So there's another take on it. I'm sure there's other movies that fit this title. Pretty much all of the Godzilla movies I return to frequently, I'm really coming around on, except Megalon. I just can't really get into Megalon. Hedorah, I'm hit or miss on as well, but I'm trying with those 2. Best Toho Tokusatsu film that isn't a kaiju film. Well, I'm really restricted on my answers here because I've only seen one, and that was The H-Man. I think it's been since 2016 or 2017 since I've watched The H-Man as well. So again, this is a movie that I'm not really fresh on. I couldn't tell you much about it outside of, I remembered really liking it. I remembered kind of being super impressed by the direction in the movie. It was the first movie where the directing stood out to me. There's a nightclub scene. I don't remember much of the details about it, but I remember being blown away while watching this nightclub scene in the movie because it had such interesting camera work and it was so fluid and there were so many things happening at once. It was really awesome. And then when I found out that it was Ishiro Honda who directed it, I got so much more excited. So yeah, I guess that's probably the only answer I can give, because all the other Toho films I've seen, whether they're Godzilla or not, they're all kaiju movies. If I was doing my favorite non-Godzilla kaiju movie from Toho, it would be War of the Gargantuas, which I think is a criminally underrated movie. I can't believe that that isn't one of the greats. I know that everyone who sees it loves it, but it's just not one that's talked about a ton. But yeah, that's a little bit of a difficult question for me to answer because I just don't have tons of exposure to it. Favorite non-Japanese giant monster? This one feels a little bit like cheating for me because I think everybody knows my answer. It's the common answer, I think, amongst kaiju fans if you give them that parameter, and that's King Kong. Kong is just one of the greatest characters in cinema. I truly believe that. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I believe that King Kong is the cinematic icon. He is the champion of modern cinema. That original movie was so influential and so groundbreaking and so impressive that Kong was propelled to great heights, and he has remained there ever since. Everybody knows King Kong. Everybody knows the image of a giant gorilla standing on a building. And when you actually watch the movies, Kong has a really complex character, certainly more so than any other kaiju out there. He's a tragic monster, but he also has love and passion, and I don't know, I think Kong is a great character. He's really well-rounded, especially in movies like Peter Jackson's Kong. You get a lot of shades of that in Kong Skull Island as well, that he's just this lonely giant who has this noble task of protecting this island, but he's just lonely at the end of the day. I think it's great. It's something that I would like kaiju films to do more often, to give character to the monsters themselves. I know other movies have tried that, Godzilla movies have tried that as well, but I don't think any other monster has succeeded to the degree that King Kong has succeeded. Godzilla singular point. Are you of the excite? I absolutely am. I don't know what it is about Godzilla singular point, but it's like the more it marinates with me, the more I get excited for it. Something about the idea that they're finally doing what I've been saying for the past 5 years now, which is bring back the obscure monsters, just let the mainstream ones rest. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't need to see Rodan. I don't need to see Ghidorah, and I don't need to see Mothra in a new movie. I've seen them enough. Give them like a 5-year break, 10-year break. I don't know. Give other monsters time to shine. Make new monsters. First of all, I love to see new monsters, but also let the obscure monsters come back. Give us some stuff with them. Like, what has Varan been up to? We haven't seen Varan since Destroy All Monsters, and even there, it was the smallest cameo in the world. A lot of people love Baragon. I'm fine with that as well. I like the Showa version. I'd like to see the Showa version or a version like the Showa version come back, but I want to see monsters like Gigan back. I want to see Gigan have some time to shine. Biolante is a huge fan favorite, and I'd love to see her come back. Orga is a monster that you can do a ton with. Orga's like Godzilla fighting the Thing. You can do a ton with that. They haven't yet, so I'd love to see these monsters come back. And that's the thing that I think gets me the most excited about Singular Point, is you watch that trailer, it looks like we're getting a new take on Titanosaurus, which is awesome. A new take on Gabra, which of course, I'm always down for that. Gabra is one of my favorites from my childhood, and I love Godzilla's Revenge, so that's one that I'm excited for. And I like the idea that we're getting these obscure monsters back. I think it's really awesome, so that's what I'm most excited for about that. And the more it sits with me, the more I get excited for it, the more that music in the trailer really just stands out to me as being so incredible. I'm super hyped for that. Number 5, Godzilla vs. Kong. Are you looking forward to it? I kind of have my ups and downs with Godzilla vs. Kong. I think many fans have that. I think the thing with me is that there's just so much room to mess it up. King Kong vs. Godzilla is my favorite movie ever. That's a high thing to live up to. This is supposed to be a remake of that, or at least a retelling of that story, a reimagining of it. There's so much room to go wrong with Godzilla vs. Kong. You could do so much wrong so easily. For me, the best idea is to just keep it simple. Just keep it Godzilla and Kong. And it doesn't sound like that's quite what we're getting from everything we've heard about the movie. So I'm really worried about what they're gonna do with it. I don't want them to go too nuts with it. I don't want it to be a total crowded movie. I want it to be simple. I want Godzilla and Kong to be characters in and of themselves with motivations of their own. tone. That's what I want. I don't know if that's what we're gonna get, and that's what worries me the most, is not knowing the direction we're heading in. But yes, I am generally excited for it, and there are times when it will suddenly hit me. Oh my god, Godzilla and Kong are gonna be up against each other on the big screen. Like, take a minute to really think about that for a second. The two biggest giant monster icons of all time are gonna be back on the big screen fighting one another in glorious CG. That's awesome. That's an awesome thing to think about. So yes, in concept, I am incredibly excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I couldn't be more excited for a movie. In execution, I'm incredibly worried for Godzilla vs. Kong because I have no idea what they're gonna do with it. So there are my answers. Were those satisfying? I have no idea. For this one, I wanted to tag people that I wouldn't normally tag. Because normally when I do stuff like this, I have my friends that I always pull from, like Kaiju Noir. I don't want to do that this time. I want to try and pick people that I wouldn't normally pick. Not to say that I'm not friends with these guys or that we're not on good terms or anything. I'm just saying that I'm picking people that I haven't picked previously. So because of that, I'm gonna first off start with Dangerville. I don't care who over there at Dangerville does it, maybe both of you guys, but I'd love to see how they answer these questions, and I think it could be really fun for Kaiju fans to listen to. Next up is Big Jack Films. Of course, I gotta give a shout out to the legendary Big Jack Films. I definitely want to hear what he has to say about these. I know he's a major Kong fan, so I'm super curious to hear what he has to say about this stuff. Next up, I don't know if he'll do it or not, but because it's Godzilla month on his channel, at least in theory, I'm posting this video in November, my good buddy CJ Cupers. I don't think I'm saying his last name right. I've met up with him in person multiple times. Him and I have hung out, and I still don't think I say his last name right. Chris, if you see this, you're next. And then finally, OmniViewer. I'm interested to hear what you have to say as well. Plus, I'm trying to expand, you know? Usually I pick people in a small circle who interact within a small circle. I'm trying to pick people outside of my immediate circle so that this can expand and grow and flourish, and, you know, I'm curious to hear what the community has to say. That'll do it for this one. I don't know if this was a good video or not. Thank you guys all. I want to thank everybody who supports the channel, everyone who likes and comments. Remember that you guys are the real heroes. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man, out. What? You never watched my 66 years of Godzilla tribute? You know it's posted, right? I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but go check it out. And then you can tell me if you like it or not.